What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on my channel, youtube.com/video, too loud. My gum really hurts. Something happened. I don't know. It's like a little swollen. So if I look weird or I'm not smiling, it's probably because of that. Anyway, buy the merch. Today we're going to be talking about the new mythical Pokemon that was just announced today, Zarude. It sounds a little like something from JoJo, I think, but I haven't watched JoJo, so I'm not sure. Anyway, so they released this quick little trailer. I'm showing it here on Zarude. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to show it, so I'm just gonna click through it really quick. But I don't want that. This is the Pokemon, kind of dark. Oopsie, I was supposed to do that. Let's see. Zarude typing, Dark and Grass, ability Leaf Guard. They show it using Swagger here. They show it using like Power Whip here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So today I want to talk about how good would this Pokemon be if it were allowed, and more importantly, what would this Pokemon need to be a really good Pokemon. So Zarude. So the first thing you have to talk about is the Dark and Grass typing. That's not a unique typing. Shiftry has it. However, Shiftry's base stats are like really terrible. Like they're not good at all. And so although Shiftry actually, it can do some interesting things in singles, and I feel like it might have gotten some use in 2010 as well, but things were really different back then anyway. So, Dark and Grass. I personally feel like we don't have enough Grass-type legendary Pokemon. I know that when I was building for 2016, when I was building for 2019, there was a lot of times where I wanted a restricted Pokemon that was Grass-type. Now, Zarude is a mythical Pokemon, which means it'll most likely never be allowed in VGC, but I like thinking about, like, if it were allowed, how good would it be? And then we can also talk about, like, if Zarude were allowed, would they also allow other mythical Pokemon like Deoxys and Celebi and those? But yeah, I feel like we don't have enough Grass-type legendary Pokemon. Like, off the top of my head, we have, like, Virizion and Celebi, but there's no restricted Pokemon that's Grass-type, which is really frustrating, because it would be a really nice type to build around with Groudon and Kyogre, being both weak to Grass, but we don't have that. So, yeah. So anyway, so Grass and Dark. Dark is interesting because it's weak to Fairy type. So Dark's typing is weak to Fairy, Fighting, and Bug. And Grass is weak to what? Fire, Flying, Ice, Bug. Might be it. Yeah. So got a lot of weaknesses. It's not great defensive typing. Grass, in general, I feel like doesn't have great defensive typing. But when you get it might not seem like great typing defensively. However, in a format where this Pokemon is allowed, you're most likely gonna have other legendary Pokemon, whether it's singles or doubles. So if this Pokemon were VGC legal, like I mentioned, like if let's say this Pokemon was legal in VGC 19, right? I know it would never be, but like let's just pretend it was legal in VGC 19. It would have like positive typing matchup against Lunala, Ultra Necrozma, Solgaleo, Kyogre, somewhat Groudon. You could do like Zarude, I don't know, Zarude and Kyogre and make yourself pretty good against Groudon. Bad Xerneas matchup, of course, bad Rayquaza matchup, but across the board, like having resistances to the main stab moves of Groudon and Kyogre are really nice, right? Although again, that comes into stats because just a resistance isn't necessarily enough to not be taking a lot from Waterspout. I have a Pokemon that this Pokemon is going to be very offensive. They showed Power Whip. It should get Knockoff, probably. Knockoff is a really good move. One of the best moves in the game, and to get stab on Knockoff, and probably to have a high attack stat to boot. I think that means that that makes it pretty strong offensively, right? There's some typings like the can switch into both Dark and Grass, but there's not that many Pokemon, and a Pokemon like this looks like it's gonna get fighting coverage. Like I bet it gets Superpower, for example. This is all speculation. Another interesting thing to note is the fact that they gave it Leaf Guard. So Leaf Guard is traditionally thought of as like a pretty bad ability. Like it blocks status conditions in Sun, but that's kind of a niche case. And a lot of the Pokemon that get Leaf Guard are Grass type, and so if you're in the Sun, it feels like a lot of the time you're taking fire attacks anyway. And there's not that many bulky Pokemon with Leaf Guard, and a lot of Pokemon that have Leaf Guard have better abilities anyway. The closest example off the top of my head is Leafeon, who has Chlorophyll, which is like a much better ability than Leaf Guard in almost every situation. So yeah, it's also one of those things where once your opponent knows you have Leaf Guard, they're just going to attack you instead of trying to status you. And it's like Leaf Guard I think would be better if it was like you can't be statused at all, but the fact that you need it to be in sunlight for it to activate, like it's just not very consistent. So I'm thinking to myself, why give a new mythical Pokemon a bad ability? And my conjecture, and again, this is just me speculating, is that, you know, maybe it's because the Pokemon is already very good, right? Maybe the stats of the move pool, which are the things we don't know, right? Maybe the stats of the move pool, you know, kind of beget a bad ability, right? Maybe they're trying to balance the Pokemon is what I'm saying by giving it a bad ability because otherwise it would be too broken and they're trying to make it reasonable, right? So that's just a guess. It could also have multiple abilities, though I believe most times mythical Pokemon don't have multiple abilities. But again, mythical Pokemon are one of my weakest areas because they're never VGC legal, right? Like, they've never been VGC legal, and most likely they never will be. I would honestly love to have a format where, like, mythicals were allowed, where you could use, like, Mew and Keldeo. Please, Keldeo! The first water fighting Pokemon. Please let me use it. So, I don't know. I would love to have a format where mythicals were allowed, but realistically, I don't think it will ever happen, but it could be really cool. Although some stuff like Melmetal looks broken. Deoxys would be really annoying, I think. I don't know. It would depend on the rest of the format, and if it was just mythicals or mythicals and Ubers. But yeah, I think it would be interesting. Yeah, so in terms of what this Pokemon needs to be good, I think most likely, this is all speculation, but because the ability is so bad, I think it's going to have a high base attack stat. It looks like a physical attacker to me. They gave it big claws, you know, so he can smack you around. This looks like a Pokemon that's going to be fast, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, the design is kind of, you can't always assume from the design, right? Like, some stuff looks like it should be really slow and then ends up being like Stonejourner's, like, base 65 or 85, somewhere in there. Like, it's, like, weirdly fast. So, yeah. Zarude here, I don't know. I feel like the way you go with this is either very fast and very strong and has, like, middling bulk, or it's very strong and very slow, but has really good bulk. Having a 4 times weakness is annoying, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, Bug is not that common of a type. Like, in the current metagame, I'm actually struggling to think of any bug types. Now, granted, there are other Pokemon that have a positive matchup against this, like Togekiss. And speaking of Togekiss, the fairy weakness being a dark type is, like, really annoying for this Pokemon. And speaking of, you know, bad typing matchups, Togekiss resists both of its stabs. So, there are Pokemon out there that definitely give it a hard time, most likely. But again, it depends on coverage, it depends on stats. It depends on if it has boosting moves. Like, imagine a Swords Dance and, like, Iron Head, for example. Maybe it could, or Stone Edge. I feel like a lot of Pokemon get Stone Edge, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, Zarude. It definitely should have some good coverage moves. I guess in terms of what I want from the Pokemon, I think I'd like it to be physically offensive. I always like Pokemon that are offensive and strong, like, you know, can be used just as kind of damage output, like Choice Band, Choice Scarf, whatever, Sash. But I also like when they have support options. So there's not that many good grass moves, except for, actually there's a lot of good grass moves. The sleep moves in particular are very dangerous. The sleep moves, fortunately, are powder-based moves. So they normally are not, this doesn't look like a powder Pokemon to me. You know, like, Amoonguss, Shiinotic, like, Vileplume, like, those guys look like they should get Spore. Breloom, like, they all give off spores. Nothing about this Pokemon says sporing to me, right? Maybe I'm crazy, but this does not look like a spore Pokemon to me. So yeah, I don't know. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see it not get those moves, like any powder or spore moves. But if it got spored, that would probably be broken. Like, that would probably be too good. For that reason, it probably also won't get Rage Powder. It has big claws, so it could get Follow Me. Follow Me, they normally are pretty, like, they're kind of like, they don't give it out to too many things, right? They really limit the amount of Pokemon they give it to because it's such a good move. So I think I don't want any of those moves on this thing. I think that even if they don't really have much play in singles, specifically Rage Powder and Follow Me, I don't want them on the table, right? Just in case. Like, I don't want to deal with a bulky Pokemon, like a Pokemon of this, like, that could be offensive or have Follow Me, or could be offensive and have Follow Me. Kind of like people are using offensive Togekiss right now with Follow Me as the last slot. So, yeah, you gotta be really careful with what moves you give this thing. I think it'll probably get, like, Swords Dance and Bulk Up. It looks like it should get those moves. I wonder if it'll get, like, a speed boosting move. Again, a lot depends on the speed, right? I can see this thing being, like, base 120 speed, and I can see it being base, like, 80 speed and being relatively slow for mythical Pokemon. So, we'll see. I do really like the typing. Like I said, I'm glad they gave us more grass types. I think Dark is a cool typing. We have a couple of Dark type mythical Pokemon, but they do seem like, I don't know, we don't have that many Dark legendary Pokemon. We have Yveltal, I guess. And, like, there's Darkrai for the mythical Pokemon, but I don't know. I think it's cool. Like, I hope that because the typing is not good defensively, and it's not even the best offensively, it's not bad, and they gave it a bad ability, I hope that there's something really cool with it, and it's not just, like, thrown to the wayside, right? Like, maybe the stats are, like, broken, or maybe, like, the move pool is really deep, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. I feel like if the stats are... I feel like then if the ability is bad, the next place I would look is the stats, right? So I feel like this thing's going to have good stats. But, again, this is all just speculation. But I expect this thing to be good in the metagames that it's allowed in. It seems like it has a lot going for it. Again, a lot depends on the stats and move pool, so all we know right now is the typing and ability, and the ability is bad. And the typing is interesting. Like, not the best typing by any means, but not bad typing at all. So, yeah, I think this thing will be good. It will most likely never be VGC legal. I might do, like, a format. Maybe I'll, like, try and hold, like, a tournament or something where we can, where it's, like, VGC with mythicals. Like, because I think that'd be really cool, and I think we could pull that off. So, yeah, with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say about this Pokemon. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, which is down below the video, where if you want to go down, you can go below to the comment section. And let me know what you think about this Pokemon, because I don't know. This is just my thoughts. So, is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? What do you want? What do you want to see from it that you haven't seen already? Yeah, and I think that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.